Welcome back to the Postpartum Plan podcast. This podcast is designed to support and empower you through postpartum. Whether you're expecting, in the early postpartum days, or beyond, this space is for you. I'm your host, Madison Fugere, a dedicated postpartum doula and pediatric sleep consultant, striving to help parents feel confident and supported in their parenting journey. Each week, I'm sharing practical tips and expert advice to help you navigate all the postpartum things with confidence. Well, as much confidence as you can. Let's embark on this journey together, making your parenthood as serene and supportive as possible. I was super excited to have Samantha Martin back on the podcast. She did an episode with me last season and it was great. So she is back today to talk all things mom guilt with me. She is a psychologist and has her master's in social work. And she owns the amazing practice that she has called Martin Wellness Group. So she offers therapy practices for people in New Hampshire and Massachusetts. Between herself and her other practitioners, she is an amazing human, and you should definitely check out her practice and the last episode. But let's get into the mom guilt. Thank you so much for joining me and for coming back. I'm excited to have you.
I know. I'm so excited to be here again. I was thinking today, when was I on last time? And it was like a year and a half ago. And it's like,
I
wow.
know.
So
Yeah,
much
we were just talking
happened.
about it. There's so many episodes that I've put out, and I honestly forget sometimes what's gone out and what hasn't. And I'm always like, yes, people come back, because I feel like the episodes, because they're so short, we
Yeah.
talk about such a specific aspect of things that there's always so much more we can talk about.
hmm
And so I'm excited to have you back and to talk more about just this whole mom guilt and just the anxiety that comes along with that.
I know.
I think it's so relatable for so many people.
I know. It's very relatable. A lot of moms are feeling it. I'm so excited to be here and talk a little bit more about it. This topic comes up so often in my practice that I just feel like it's something to discuss further. I also feel like it comes up in myself and my
Yeah.
friends. It's just something that is really relatable. It's overwhelming.
Yeah, I think we compare so much, and I think social media plays a big, big, big role into how we're experiencing this. I think, you know, there's so much comparison of what you see online and even within friend groups too, right? It's like, okay, who has this stroller and who has this
Yeah,
type of product and whose baby is doing this or doing that. And I
yeah.
think part of it is inevitable, but I think social media has made it even more intense
Mhm.
because
Yeah.
of that idea that you're seeing a highlight reel of everything, right?
You're seeing this curated, unrealistic, perfect playroom or bento box lunch, and
Yeah.
you're like, wait, my lunch isn't in the shape of a heart, and my
Yep.
sandwich doesn't look like that, and my strawberries aren't whatever. And it really puts this expectation that you need to do that. And so if
Right.
you're not doing that, it impacts your self-esteem, and that really can make you feel guilty, and sometimes you can spiral with it. I think there's different layers of mom guilt for sure,
Yeah.
and it shows up differently for moms. But one of the things that I find in my practice is, if I've had a client who struggled with this idea of perfect in other areas of their life,
Yep.
and then they become a mom,
Mm.
then, seeing the stuff on social media or in their friend groups, or like you
Yep.
said, comparing baby developmental milestones, things like that, it can really, really make you feel like, oh, am I not doing enough? Am I not good
Yeah.
enough? Should I be doing more? And that
Right.
is the idea around, what mom guilt is. And it is so prevalent. Like I said before, myself, my friend group, and my clients, I think, all face this at one point or another. Maybe
Yeah.
once a week, once a month, whatever. But that feeling that is so strong, that comes up, it's hard, and if you don't
Yeah.
know what to do with the feeling, I think that's even harder too.
I think it's also, I mean, we could generalize this and talk about parent guilt, but I think it's so specific in order for today for us to really focus on that mom guilt idea, because I did an episode with Paige Conley, who she's a page turner on Instagram. I don't know if you know her. She's amazing. And she came on and she was giving this similar information about how just these expectations though are different for, females versus others. And so this mom like title really means like so much. Like we expect these moms to have babies and then all of a sudden just know everything, right? And be able to do everything and be able to do everything perfectly while still maintaining, whatever else is happening in their life career-wise if they continue to do so or whatever it may be. Whereas I find, everyone else kind of gets a free pass in some ways. And so I think that like it's so true. The mom guilt is, itself is so intense. And I think that it's so hard too because yeah, societally we just expect that, you're going to know how to do these things. I even see people coming to me and saying, I've tried sleep training my child. I've tried everything. I feel like I should know how to help my kid. They're my kid. I should be able to know these things, but I don't know, right? And it's so defeating for people when they don't
Yeah.
know how to do these things because it does often, I think, for moms feel like you're just supposed to know what to do.
Right. Well, that mother's intuition that
Yeah.
culturally and society throws out there and has for so long that like it should be this innate thing that comes up that like now all of a sudden I know how to get my baby to sleep through the night.
Yeah.
Like no, there's actually a system to that. There's wake windows to follow and there's a process and it can be so overwhelming when you just feel like I'm
Right.
supposed to know.
Yeah.
And I think too with the sleep consultant and stuff like that, like and even therapists, let us be the expert here so
Right.
that we can help you feel less overwhelmed that you're supposed to figure out all of these things on your own.
Absolutely.
And I think
Absolutely. And I
specific to
think that
mom guilt
plays,
too.
I was
Sorry.
just gonna say it plays right into the mom guilt thing.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Like moms, and I was talking to my friends this week and some of my clients kind of like collecting data, if you
Yeah,
will,
I
for the
love that.
podcast, but just asking, I just want to know, like, how does mom guilt impact them?
Yeah.
Where do you find it shows up? Because I know where it can show up for myself, and I do know for the most part where it can show up for my clients, but I was just sort of interested in kind of overall taking a survey, and it
Yeah.
really ranges from going to do an errand alone and feeling guilty that you're not bringing one or both or all three of the kids or whatever, or going on vacation without the kids,
Yeah.
or going to work. Is my child going to think I'm abandoning them because I'm going to work? And it's so unfair that we somehow this expectation comes that we should be doing all of these things right, or if we're not doing something right, we're the
Right.
worst mothers in the world, or
Right.
we have our kid watch a little TV and we're a failure because we're not on the ground playing with them hands on all day. It's
Right.
really these thoughts that kind of come up that are these automatic negative thoughts about what you should be doing or that you're not good enough. So in my practice with my clients, we're always talking about ways to kind of reframe these thoughts that come up,
Yeah.
feeling the feeling, acknowledging it, it's there, it's real. And then what do we do with it? So what would it feel
Yeah.
like if that feeling was not here? Would that impact our behavior? So really kind of like working through the process of how to decrease the mom guilt. I always, in talking about managing expectations, we're always
Mm-hmm.
talking about our symptoms and anxiety or depression or mom guilt or any of these things. I'm not going to ever be able to get rid of that 100% for my clients or even for
Right.
myself. We are human. So it's about
Yeah.
accepting that we're human and then trying to figure out ways to decrease some of those thoughts. Because
Yeah.
again, if you've already struggled with some perfectionism in the past and then you have this child, you can internalize that and it can be really, really difficult for you to kind of continue
Absolutely.
functioning daily.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think that there really is this kind of not all or nothing, because I think you said everybody experience mom guilt, but I think it really does kind of go from like, oh, I'm doing so well to like you said, I did something and now people are like, oh my gosh. And I see it, with my postpartum clients, I see it with clients when I follow up with them. I see it
Yeah.
with people that I do occasional childcare for that have older kids. No matter the age of your kids, I think that there is this feeling, and when it happens, oh yes, like it's definitely like, oh, it hits hard for a lot of people because it does feel very extreme, right? So I love kind of you, like you said, kind of acknowledging that it's there, right? Knowing that it's never going to be nothing, I think is also
Right.
so important. Do you have any suggestions on how to help people from getting to that extreme of like, oh my gosh,
Mhm.
this it makes me such a bad parent that I'm letting my kid watch TV while I make dinner, or I need a break
Yeah.
and I'm going to let them have quiet time even though they don't nap or something?
Right. Yeah. So So I think let's back up just a little bit so that people maybe understand kind of the mom guilt. But really, it's
Yeah.
this like inner voice that's sometimes whispering or even yelling at us that we're not good enough or we should be doing more. It's those shoulds that kind of show up. This idea in general that we're not living up to this expectation that we should be. So I
Hmm.
think it's understanding to the individual, what are these expectations that you have somehow created for yourself? Where did those start? When did those show up? What do those look
Hmm.
like in your world? Kind of paint this picture so that I can get a better understanding of like, is this just about being a mom or is this about other things too?
Right.
And then working backwards with them, I feel like most moms put themselves at the bottom of the pyramid because, again, I think that was a cultural thing that everybody else needs to be taken care of before us. Now I think things are progressing a little bit where moms can sort of be, I hate to use this word, but selfish. But I'm
Right.
always encouraging, put yourself at the top and then you'll be a better mom because of it. So
Right.
it's managing your stress, your own anxiety, your own negative thoughts, your own expectations
Yep.
before that trickles down to your children. So if you're feeling extra irritable or cranky, what can we do for that? What is in your toolbox already for anxiety or stress? Do you need a little bit extra sleep? Do you need to go out to a workout class? Do you need to go on a walk alone? Do you need to have like alone time in your room or a phone call? What works for you to kind of decrease some of that stress, that irritability, things like that, so that you can really show up in a way that you're thinking a little bit more clearly, where you could
Yeah.
say, this is just mom guilt. I know what this feeling is. Take power back over those feelings instead of having
Yeah.
feeling overwhelm you so much.
Hmm.
And there's a couple of other things too that we can kind of talk about as we continue on that maybe is more specific to kind of
Yeah.
um, decreasing the mom guilt.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's also, like you said, just so important to like prioritize self-care for yourself as a whole, right? For everything. But I do think that, like you said, prioritizing self-care in whatever way that is for you helps like reduce that the overwhelming feeling of that mom guilt, right? Because, like you said, when you're able to focus on yourself, you're able to like ground, right? You're now not overstimulated, you're not overwhelmed, and you're able to like rationalize a little
Mhm.
more, right?
Right.
It's like an overtired toddler. It's never going to
Yes.
work if you're trying to like
Yes.
rationalize with them. They need to be like
Right.
grounded, right? And I think that being able to do that, then, like you said, you can acknowledge a little bit easier, like, yeah, what I'm feeling, I get that it's probably a little bit of mom guilt. It's a little bit extreme. It's a little bit irrational. However,
Yeah.
we're going to acknowledge it. We're going to figure out how we're going to move on from that. And I think
Yeah.
that's so important to know. Whether you're
Yeah.
experiencing mom guilt or not, self-care is definitely something that you can kind of plan
Oh,
ahead
yeah.
of time.
I'm always talking about the foundation for us to regulate our emotions well, and it's better sleep, healthy lifestyle with eating and movement and self-care.
Hmm.
That has to be at the bottom or the top of everybody's foundation because you're just more in tune with yourself and your needs. Because a mom, all we're doing is giving, 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 giving
Right.
our children or our partners or even our bosses at work, all of these things. And if you just don't make time for yourself and you're giving yourself just nothing,
Yeah.
it can have a real, real impact. I mean, it can impact your self esteem. I'm not good at anything. I mean, you
Right.
could really spiral with some of these thoughts, even thinking like when you go to work, you're truly abandoning your child. And it's like,
Right.
that's unfair. We need to go to work. We need to make money. We need to provide for our family. Like, what's
Yeah.
the other choice? Like, no one works and then you can't provide for your child. Like,
Right.
but some of these thoughts, if your self-esteem is already kind of lower, really, really, you internalize them, you spiral on them, you catastrophize. So I'm always, the mom guilt is always something that we're talking about, but I'm trying to go to the root of the self-esteem and things like that. So I think it's so
Yeah.
important to name the feeling, acknowledge it, take power back over it, call a friend, call a family member, listen to a podcast, something that might make you feel less alone in the moment and in the thoughts. Like, because sometimes
Yeah.
you really think, I'm the worst mom in the world. I just got upset with my son or whatever. And you can really believe that. And that
Yeah.
is just so overwhelming. I'm on all these Facebook mom groups. And I saw someone posted that she had just yelled at her son and she was feeling really crappy about it. And she just sort of needed like
Yeah.
validation and just someone to make her feel like you're not alone.
Mm-hmm.
I've been there. And before I read the comments, I'm like, oh my God, this poor woman is going to get ripped to shreds.
Yeah.
But I was shocked. Everyone on there was like, I've been
Oh.
there. I've done that. You're a great mom. It
Oh, I got
happens.
chills.
I know. And I was like, wow, there's nice people out there. So
Right.
sometimes just feeling like we're not alone in that can really, really help so much.
That's so good. I was gonna say maybe not going to social media because normally that's when you then go on, like you were just about to say, right? Like normally I find you go onto the social media and that's where you find the whole like I'm the idea of like I can't go to work because my child's gonna think I'm abandoning them, so I stay home. Like I prioritize there's just this toxic spin on so many things that are considered self-care and are considered having your own identity outside of being a mother that have had this like toxic spin put on them and this quote unquote like evidence where I don't know where these people get it from, right? That like it's gonna traumatize your child or you're doing something wrong for your child's development by prioritizing something else, right? And I'm like, how can we just do that, right? So I find that sometimes social media can be so overwhelming because of that comparison part of it. But
Absolutely.
in this case, I guess it's the opposite, which
It
is
worked
great to
out
hear.
well. I know. I didn't think it was going to happen that way, but it had a happy ending. But
That's great.
society is not always so easy on moms. They've really started this pressure that we should be doing it all, working, picking our kids up every day, being at every event, and it's really not the case. It's their society judges us often. They're not very nice to moms. So I feel like it's sort of just like, let's band together and empower ourselves to kind of like take this back. I can
Yes.
work and I can be a mom and I can be taking care of myself and all these things, but it's really about figuring out the best way to do that. And I don't like to say to do it all or to have it all, because again, that's just this big, what's all? What is this expectation? Too much. We need to break
Right.
it down, and it's really overwhelming sometimes.
Yeah.
Being a mom
Yeah.
is one hell of a roller coaster, but it's worth it. I think too, talking to your partner about it and maybe telling them I'm feeling X, Y, and Z. I really need the validation from you that
Yeah.
I'm doing a great job. But it's so important that, again, back to that self esteem, that we can kind of give ourselves some sort of internal reinforcement that we're doing
Yeah.
a good job. And that really comes from doing the work, challenging the shoulds, reframing the automatic negative thoughts. What would it be like if this thought wasn't here? Is this thought true? Am
Mm-hmm.
I really a failure because I've allowed for my kid to watch 20 minutes of Miss Rachel so that I could fold the laundry or do dishes or cook dinner? Moms feel guilty when they're doing things around the house too. Like if they're not
Right.
on the floor with their kid, they're made to feel like that's not good enough and they're guilty. And it's like there's other things to be done too. And I think it's
Mm-hmm.
actually okay for the child to understand that. Like, mom
Yeah.
has other things to do. You can play alone, and then I'll play with you in a couple minutes. Like, boundaries and respect, like, mirror to your child that we're human. We have other things going on. We have
Absolutely.
emotions, but we love ourselves and we love them. And I really try to have my clients who may not have grown up in a family that supported their self-esteem,
Yeah.
try to help them grow their individual self-esteem and then mirror that to their child too, because it's
Yeah.
really something you hope to work on as a child.
Hey guys, it's Madison. Yeah, I'm here interrupting myself, but I wanted to take a minute to talk about something that can feel so overwhelming as a parent: sleep. So, if you are in the thick of the sleepless nights, struggling to figure out how to get your baby and yourself to get more rest, then I want you to know that you're not alone. Here's the thing: if what you're doing is working for you, great, keep doing it. But if it's not, there are resources to help, and I'm happy to be one of them. As a certified pediatric sleep consultant, I work with families to create personalized sleep plans that actually make sense for your current and unique situation. No cookie cutter advice, just practical strategies that match your parenting style and your child's personality. Because let's be real, sleep is not a luxury, it is a necessity. So, if you're ready to make a change, I'd love to help. You can book a free sleep connection call on my website, www.serenemomentsdoula.com, or reach out to me on Instagram at serenemoments.doula. Absolutely. I think the most important thing to remember, and like I've seen some stuff online when people are talking about like how do you raise like the best kid, right? Like how do you raise a kid that is like secure and supported and smart and confident and has this good self-esteem. And so much of it is all just learned, right?
Yeah.
It's not like you can say read this book 14 times and, twirl twice and snap your fingers. It really is like they learn from what they see. So it's so hard to think of it sometimes to do it for yourself. But I often say to my postpartum moms, especially the ones that are like really in the depths, that first like trimester after birth, and reminding them that like, okay, you can need to do this for you. If you can't do it for you right now, like do it for them, right? Because
Hmm.
if you can be able, even if you have an older kiddo, right? Like if you're showing them like, yes, I would love to play with you, but it's also important for me to go like have a workout. I'm gonna go do this. I'm gonna do my yoga moves here while you're playing with your toys, right? And showing them like dedication to yourself, right? And the ability to prioritize your own self-care, then they might
Hmm.
learn to do the same
Yes.
things too, right?
Yes.
And they might learn to love being able to play independently while you do your whatever it is.
A
And
hundred
that's
percent.
so important too.
It's so important. And I think it is such a great thing to be a role model to your children, to show them, like, these are all the tools that I use. What are the tools that you use so that kids can grow up with coping skills? And I
Yeah.
think this generation now, the generation that I'm parenting in, we are trying to be more open with our children about our
Mm-hmm.
feelings. And, mommy needs to work out so that she feels really strong and it makes her feel happy. And it's okay to say those things and
Yeah.
again not feel guilty for opening up to your child or telling them too much or things like
Right.
that. I think it's so annoying sometimes when society makes us question the dynamics that we've set up in our home.
Right.
Working mom, not working mom, working dad, whatever it is, don't feel bad for what you've set up in your home. That's how
Yeah.
you guys do your best and provide for your family and for yourselves. And own that. There really has to be this reframing of owning it. But the guilt comes on so strong when we're talking about our children because it's such an intense love. And
Right.
it's the craziest type of love you can ever imagine. So it's just every other emotion is on steroids because of it. We
Right.
care so much about our children, our partners, all of it, that guilt feeling is just so strong. The shame around it, all of it. When you're caring about something so much, you're not just going to not care about the feelings associated with it too. It's
I
hard.
think that's so important.
It's
Yeah. I
so
think that's
common.
it's something that I think, like you said, just knowing that other people are going through it can be really, really helpful as well. And yes, I love that you made that point because I think some people can be like, oh, why am I feeling this so intensely, right? Like, I don't normally get this mad. Why did I get this mad? Or I'm not normally this emotional. Why did I get this emotional? And remembering that it is like your most important thing that you're doing in life, right, is raising this human and trying to teach them to do its best. Every parent, I think, wants what's best for their kid,
Hmm.
and you just want to do its best. And that's where that guilt comes in and that questioning yourself, right? Because am I doing this right? Should I have done it differently? And so I think remembering that like all of this is just because it's out of love, right? Like it's
Yes,
just out of wanting to do
yes,
what's best for them. And,
right.
you know, kind of recognizing that can be really helpful in those moments, I find, for some people as well.
Absolutely. And you're not a bad mom because you feel mom guilt. Like, just, acknowledge that. You're going
I
to
love
feel it
that.
at some point. Again, I'm not going to be able to get rid of that for my clients or even for myself. We are
Yeah.
human, but it's okay. We're not bad moms because we feel guilt. We're all trying to do the best that we can. And at the end of the day, it just has to be good enough. There is no perfect. There is not going to be a perfect day or a perfect mom or a perfect situation. All of it has to just be good enough.
Yeah.
And I'm sure we're all out there and we're all, doing that. We're doing
You're all
good
doing
enough. And you
great.
have to just be
Yes.
okay with that too. I think that's the part that trips some, moms up, is that they just feel like, well, that's not good enough. And so really breaking that down with a friend or a therapist or as a
Yeah.
partner, that kind of irrational thought associated with some of the mom guilt too, you know?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I love that you brought that up.
Yeah, I think
Absolutely.
moms have to put themselves at the top. You know, if you put yourself at the bottom, you're just naturally going to be more irritable, more stressed, more anxious. So it really is about what can we do individually to make ourselves feel a little more regulated. I mean, moms are overstimulated, our cortisol's through the roof, our nervous
Right.
system is completely shot. So it's kind of working backwards because when we decrease our stress, we can have more rational thoughts, which is helpful when we're feeling that guilt because that guilt
Right.
comes on so strong. And if you do make something that you feel like is a mistake, own that with your child or your partner or
Absolutely.
yourself. Try to learn from it. You know, there's different reasons why, we maybe yelled at our child twice this week and we don't like to raise our voice, whatever. Try to figure out what is going on. Is there an external factor going on?
Right.
Is it that time of the month for you? Like, what tweaks can you make? But don't be so hard on yourself because if we're too hard on ourselves, we won't be able to make any positive change. Own the feeling, take the power back, challenge the should, make a reframe, and get back to it. I mean, we don't exactly have time to just, sit
Sit
and think
around.
all day. Yeah.
I know. It's so
There's stuff to
true.
be done. And if you yell at your child, say, Mommy got mad for a minute. I'm so sorry. Mommy hates to yell. Mommy's feeling a little tired. Mommy's feeling a little overwhelmed at work. It's okay to say those things to your child so that they can recognize if they're feeling overwhelmed at school or they're a little anxious or
Absolutely.
stressed, that they can talk to you about that too.
And they can do that. Yeah.
Yeah,
Again, that mimicking can be huge and teaching through that. Like if you make a
absolutely.
mistake, just owning it. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
The
I
social
love that
media
you have
piece
that.
too comes up a lot in my practice where I'm like, maybe we should get rid of it. Or maybe
Right?
we should unfollow so and so that keeps triggering
Yeah.
you with her perfect playroom and her perfect bento box. You're kind of you're in a repeating offender if you continue to
Right.
look at the same content that
Mm-hmm.
triggers you. But sometimes it takes kind of that recognition. Oh, I'm being triggered. What am I noticing in my body when I see that on the internet? Like that feeling inside of you. What is that physiological response
Mm-hmm.
eliciting something that is icky to me? And how do we try to remove it a little bit?
Yeah.
We don't have to follow these influencers.
Right, right. Or if it's even like friends or people you want to, I have had my fair share of, muting like someone's
Yeah,
stories or muting them for a while. And then sometimes it'll
100%.
pop up, or like they even have ones where you can like mute it for like a certain period of time
Oh,
sometimes too, which is great. Just being able to give yourself a break from some things can be
yeah,
really helpful in your own brain space to have that break
yeah.
for sure.
I
I
notice
love
that
that.
even on like my business Instagram, sometimes it's just so overwhelming. Well, what is everybody else doing for their practice and how are they growing their business and things like that? And
Yeah,
we don't all have to just consume, consume, consume. Like we do have control over, okay, this is too much for me for now,
right.
and I'm not going to do it.
I love that. That's so true.
Yeah.
So true. Well, I'm going to make sure that all of your information is in the show notes below. I'm hoping that, everybody felt a little bit of relatable content here today. As much as we don't
100%.
all want to be going through it, like we said, everyone experiences the mom guilt if you are a mom in some way.
Yeah.
So it's definitely important to acknowledge, and hopefully you got some resources today that is helpful. I will make sure that Samantha's information is in the show notes below. So if you are
Yes.
looking for any therapy support, you can reach
Yeah.
out. And if she has openings, great. And if not, I'm sure you can kind of give some resources as well.
Yes, either
Um,
myself, Nicole, or
yeah,
Ashley will be sure to get someone in if they need extra support and help. It's our favorite thing to do. We love making moms feel a little bit better and a little less alone. And I think one of the things that we kind of hear over and over again, that feedback from our clients is that we feel relatable. And so it's a less intimidating process for a
I love
mom.
that.
It's really hard for a mom to come to therapy and to admit what she feels like she's not doing right. And it
Right.
can be so overwhelming. So we try to make it as comfortable as possible and do our best.
Yeah, just such a well and welcoming space, as I'm sure y'all can tell from just listening to us talk today. So definitely check those notes out and reach out. Thank you so much for joining me.
Thanks. I'll see you soon. I'll be back.
Thank you so much for tuning into the Postpartum Plan podcast. I hope that today's episode brought you support, relatability, and valuable insight. Remember, you're not alone on this journey. If you enjoyed the show, please subscribe and leave a review and share with any of your prenatal and postpartum friends and family. Your feedback helps us reach more parents seeking support. And if you're looking for additional resources, please feel free to connect via Instagram at Serene Moments Doula for constant information, tips, and tricks, or check out my website, www.serenemomentsdoula.com. See you next week.